This is actually one of my boyfriend's most favorite fragrance on me, in the thoughts down below. In particular, I know as soon as I pass that driving test. Welcome back, guys, to another video. I hope you're all doing well. It feels like ages since I've been back. It's only been about a couple of weeks, by the way, but I had a really bad flu. I'm still kind of recovering from it. It was that bad. But to be honest, there was like a whole lot of other stuff going on as well. So I'm now back. I'm now in the positive mindset in terms of like actually filming, getting some really good content out for you guys. So in today's video, it's something completely different. I actually haven't done anything like this before, but sometimes I feel like within the perfume community, like it can be out of touch maybe with reality, and I'm guilty of this, by the way, because I quite like that, you know, we can all come together, we can have like a nice chit chat in the comments, and to be honest, sometimes it's like a really nice escape from the real world. But the reality is we are heading into a recession. To be honest with you, with the UK, I felt like we've been in it anyway for the last couple of years, and another reality is that people's disposable incomes aren't that high. So actually buying little luxuries like fragrances here or there can sometimes be a little bit out of budget, or you know, it might actually cost a lot more than, you know, what people anticipate. So I have some really fantastic affordable fragrances for you guys here. They all vary in price ranges, from really inexpensive to like affordable kind of cost. By the way, I have done like an affordable video in the past where I think most of the fragrances there were like under 30 quid, or 30 pounds I should say, and I was really shocked because actually not that many people watched the video. I was maybe shocked because I thought to myself, like, my friends always ask me, oh, do you have like any affordable options or any inexpensive options, and then I always reply saying I do, but like when I really think about it, not that many people watch that style of content. So hopefully these all that I have here will be all very different fragrances, all for, you know, varying different tastes for us women. So if you are interested, please keep watching and we'll just jump straight into it. So I'm just going to react to a few videos here and there, and in between I will show you guys like an affordable option. So this video really caught my eye.
There is no perfume in the world worth going into debt for. It doesn't exist. I don't know who this is for, but for someone, don't do it.
He has a point, guys. Like, I've come across people in the past where they have gone into insane credit card debt over fragrances, or whether that's like pay now, buy later, and there is no judgment at all. Like, we all have our vices. Like, that used to be my vice, but the one thing that I always said to myself is that I will never ever go into like credit card debt and things like that in order to buy fragrances. All grown adults here, we can do whatever we want with our money, but again, I just wanted to highlight that, like, guys, don't put yourself into massive amounts of debt just over fragrances. As beautiful as they are, there is many more things in life that are far more important. So anyway, with that being said, I wanted to feature a fragrance for you guys. So the first one that I wanted to feature is Madame Gres from Gres, and this is actually like a fashion house, but they have loads and loads of affordable options. So you can see probably how much I've worn of this fragrance. It's like actually properly tattered, and I think I actually bought it for under about £20, which is phenomenal considering, I mean, it's like 100ml, this one, I think. Let me have a quick look at an eau de parfum, 100ml, which is just insanity. It doesn't last ages, but what I will say is this is actually one of my boyfriend's most favorite fragrance on me. And considering it's under £20, it's just absolute insanity. You can get it on All Beauty. I've talked about this one loads, but this is like a very feminine, floral, fruity, chypre type of fragrance. So in the top, you have a bit of pineapple, a bit of grapefruit, and it's quite fruity, it's a bit sweet, and then towards the base, that's when the floral aspects come through. So you do have like a little bit of a rosy, peony touch in here. To be honest with you, I've said this in the past, but to me, it really reminds me of Coco Mademoiselle from Chanel, because it does have that fruity tart top, and then towards the base, that's when the florals kick in. It's very feminine. I think it might have some like Lily of the Valley in here as well. It's quite a soft, white, I wouldn't say white floral, but it's a very soft musky floral mid that you have in here. Might even have some freesia, and then towards the base that's when like the more classic chypre type of quality comes in. So you have a little bit of patchouli, you have some woods in the background and also some sweetness. There could be like some vanilla in here. But overall, what I find really interesting is, despite it being like a more affordable fragrance with it only being £20, to me it still smells very feminine and also elegant at the same time. So with that being said, like, it can literally be any woman of any age wearing this fragrance, which I think is really special. So if you are younger, you can wear this. If you're older, you can certainly wear this. My favorite place to actually wear this fragrance is typically the gym, because it doesn't project loads, but it is, you know, it's quite soft, not the most long-lasting fragrance in the world, so it doesn't actually bother that many people. It just makes you smell really lovely and put together. And sometimes, like, when you are in bigger crowds, like, you don't really want to overwhelm like a lot of people. And just overall, this is a beautiful, elegant chypre fruity floral type of fragrance. I think this was especially made for the designer behind Gres, quite an iconic lady, so I think this was specifically dedicated towards her. So if you've never tried it before, it's literally, you can get it for £20 or so, so I think it's like a massive deal. Get Madame Gres from Gres. Now moving back to the reality of things, and by the way, I don't want to be tone deaf. Like, I think for most people, they're in that situation where, you know, our disposable incomes are a bit less than what they used to be, because obviously inflation is so high at the minute. Just everyday expenses are quite high. But for some people, you know, they might be absolutely fine, and in those cases, well done to you guys. You know, and I always have like an abundant mindset anyway. Like, I don't like to think everything is shutting down, everything is bad news, because it isn't always that way. Having said that though, there is reality, can't ignore that as well. So let's see another one.
In this economy, savings is out and self-indulgence is in. With traditional financial milestones out of reach, the dopamine rush from little luxuries have become a coping mechanism for young people who feel their futures are uncertain. According to Credit Karma, more than a quarter of Americans admitted to doom spending, or spending in spite of financial or economic.
So she definitely has a point. I think for most people, they go into these cycles where they feel like they can never afford those luxuries anyway, of, you know, what and milestones that they want to hit throughout their lives, whether that's buying a property, whether that's getting like a new car or a new career into something that they really enjoy. And I think in those situations, most people just throw everything out the window, and that's when the incessant spending kind of kicks in. And it's unfortunate, because I think in those scenarios, you do need like a little bit of uplift and say, right, don't go doom spending, don't go into this cycle. There is hope at the end of the tunnel, and, you know, there are other options out there. So I think it's a really important thing to note. Like, when you are in that cycle of thinking, there will be an occasion where you're like, do you know what, F all of this, I'm just gonna have it out the window and I'm gonna spend on whatever I want. And that's when the doom spending comes into play. It can set you back quite a bit. So anyway, we'll just keep watching.
Concerns. And that rate was even higher among millennials and Gen Z, who are arguably worse off than their parents. Growing student debt levels, a ballooning real estate market, stagnating wages, and a higher cost of living have all made it more difficult for people to achieve traditional milestones like living on one's own or buying a house. Just ask Nia Holland.
It's like a little treat, like to like reward myself for like either like some like hard schoolwork, or just sometimes it just serves as a distraction from like what's going on like around me. If I felt like there was less going on, then I probably would be more inclined to like prepare for the future.
And she's not alone. More than 2/3 of doom spenders admitted that they had given up on these financial goals entirely.
Yeah, so that's really interesting what she said, and I think it's highlighting what perfumes can actually come across sometimes, because they are little luxuries. And the reality is, I mean, most of us, and you guys watching me, we all share the same hobby, right? And with that hobby, it does come with spending money on fragrances, because any hobby that you really enjoy, sometimes, you know, hobbies can be free, but sometimes they're inexpensive hobbies, such as fragrances. But I think where it differs slightly with some people, or just with what's going on at the minute, those little luxuries do become a necessity for people to be able to like just carry through life if they're not doing really well, you know, financially, if their careers aren't blossoming, you know, if there's other stuff going on at home as well. Like in the US, there's massive amounts of student debt, same here in the UK actually, but we have a slightly different system. It can be really hard. So sometimes, you know, buying lots of fragrances can almost heal, you know, what's going on inside for that very short period of time, and buying out of boredom as well. So hopefully the next two fragrances will kind of feature what you can buy at a little bit of a discount and more affordably as well. So the first fragrance that I have is one that I recently discovered, and my goodness, if you want something different, ladies, and even gents actually watching this, I think you'd really enjoy this. So this is called Mulberry Fig from Floris, London. Now, from memory, on All Beauty, I think you can get 100 ml of this, which is a lot of perfume, for about 60 or so pounds, which I think is really great, considering the amount that you are getting, and it being an eau de parfum. And I tell you what, guys, this is long lasting. I mean, I only have like a small vial of this and I've already tested it, and my goodness, it lasted me. And to be honest, even on some of my clothes, it still is lingering, and this is like a day or two ago. So that just shows how good this fragrance is. So this particular fragrance is a very interesting one. I would almost class it as like a fruity tropical mixed with a green woody fragrance. Now, I've not really come across anything like this before, because not only does it feature the note of fig, which I think is quite prominent in here, you also have a big note of coconut, some cypress, some other green aspects in this fragrance as well. So to me, it's almost as if you have, you know, those fig biscuits that you used to get when you were younger. Imagine those with like a lot of coconut just like shredded on top, you know, like desiccated coconut just all on top of these biscuits, and you're sat in a spa. That is literally how I can describe this fragrance. It almost has a bit of a spa-like feel, and I think that's coming from the green note. And the coconut in here, like, people sometimes have disagreements in terms of like how prominent the coconut note is in here. I think it's really prominent. Like, I can definitely smell the coconut. And what's even more bizarre about this is that the coconut lasts even towards the base of the fragrance. So to me, this is like a very mature green, coconutty, fruity type of fragrance. And again, I've never come across anything like this before. You can get it for varying different prices. So as I said, from memory, when I did you know, look to buy it, it's between about 60 to about 80-ish pounds for 100 ml. And as I said, because it is very long lasting and it does project quite a bit, I would imagine that this will last you quite a long time. And I think that, you know, it's quite affordable considering it will last you a while. And what's fantastic about this, it's definitely spring to summer. Like, I can imagine this being somebody's signature scent, whether they're a woman or a man. I think you can easily wear this. This is very unisex leaning, and I'm just really surprised. I was blown away by this fragrance. So from Floris, London, we have Mulberry Fig. Now moving on to a very popular designer fragrance for women, and I've never actually featured this on my channel, which I think is really bizarre, but recently I actually showed one of my friends this when I went to visit her last weekend. She really liked it, and to be honest with you, I was really unsure kind of like what vibe, because she quite liked like a fruity floral type of fragrance, but something that's quite photorealistic. This one is Chloe Love Story. Now, I know this is really popular, and it is popular for a reason. I think considering you can get, I think it's like a 75 ml for around about 60 pounds, and obviously the 30 ml is even cheaper. I think I bought this like for about 40 or so pounds, something like that. And I have to say, it doesn't project a lot, but it's long lasting. So this is predominantly a white floral feminine woody fragrance. Now, typically whenever people think of woody, they think of masculine automatically, but this has a slight softer edge to it when it comes to woody fragrances, and it does open up with a little bit of fruitiness in the top. So it has, oh, that's so beautiful, a mixture of pear, grapefruit, some lemon. It's quite vibrant, it's really approachable to begin with, and it is white floral heavy. So it has neroli, it has some orange blossom, it has some other fruity aspects in here. To me, it's like this mixture of beautiful almost like sexy white florals in here, like as I said, the neroli, the orange blossom, and might even have a little bit of jasmine in here. I think that's what makes it come across quite feminine and mature despite it being a little bit cheaper. And towards the base, I have like this very soft, slightly musky woodiness going on here, and that might be attributed to the patchouli. There might even be some cashmerein in here, and I often find cashmerein in any feminine fragrances just has that like sexy, comforting edge to it. It just makes it quite soft, very inviting. So if you've never tried it before, I would always recommend giving this one a go, particularly for women who want to smell fresher but then also sexy at the same time. And this is quite inexpensive. So from Chloe, we have Love Story. Now, kind of bringing it back to reality again, I wanted to bring something a little bit closer to home. I know I do have quite a lot of US viewers, but I also have a lot of UK viewers as well. So I just thought that this lady, the way, you know, she explained how the economy is at the minute was quite interesting.
A car on finance that costs you between £300 and £400 a month, it's just not worth it. You know, you can get a car that is so much more economical for your wallet and sustainable for you. If something was to go wrong with it, you know, people have these BMWs and Mercedes, that's all well and good if you have the, you know, disposable income to be able to cover that cost. But as soon as something goes wrong with it, you're looking at like £500 just to replace two wheels.
The point there, I'm actually in the process of possibly passing my driving. It's been a really long process. Actually, it's been years of trying to drive. I have a lot of anxiety when it comes to it, but she is right when it comes to the car finance. For people, anyone watching, if you can afford it, fantastic, and especially if you want to afford that luxury of being able to drive like a really nice car, I think that's really fantastic. And you spend your money how you want to spend your money. But for me in particular, I know as soon as I pass that driving test, I will buy myself a Beta. And, you know, there's no ifs and buts about it. Like, if something was to go wrong, especially with me being a first-time driver, I don't want to be forking out thousands of pounds for, say, like a new engine, hundreds of pounds on damage around the vehicle, on the vehicle I should say. And I think again it's, you know, taking everything into perspective, and you know, that's disposable income that you can be spending on other little luxuries like fragrances and other things that make you happy, or even, you know, furthering your career or doing something quite nice over the weekend. So all of these things, they do really add up. I just thought it was really interesting. So with that being said, we'll now move on to a couple of more other affordable fragrances. So the next fragrance that I have, unfortunately, which I know is really annoying for a lot of you here, is discontinued. However, you can still buy this online for inexpensive cost, and I'll actually link it in my bio down below. I actually found this website and they delivered it to me because I used to have, so this is Manifesto L'elixir. I used to have the original Manifesto and I absolutely loved that fragrance, and I think both of them have been discontinued. I also really loved the elixir version years ago, and I thought to myself, do you know what, I really would love this back in my collection. So I was really worried because I thought to myself, oh my gosh, it's discontinued, will I be able to find this anywhere? There was a website that had you know, a little bit of extra stock, so if you are interested, you know, you can buy it, and I'm treasuring this because I really don't want it to ever end. So this being the elixir version is a little bit more sexy, a little bit more full-bodied than the original Manifesto version. I would say if you're a fan of a fragrance like Dior Addict, you will really enjoy this. This is bourbon vanilla. This is a really deep, resinous, sticky vanilla. This isn't sugary sweet at all. This is a grown woman fragrance, and when I say that, I really literally mean it, because it has a lot of white florals playing in here. It does have a slight greenness, which honestly to this day I don't know where that's coming from. And the original Manifesto, so not the elixir version, is actually heavier on those green aspects, whereas this one is a bit softer. It also has cashmerein in the base, And I think that is what's giving it its grown woman sexy vibe to it. I tend to find like a lot more 90s style of fragrances, or even 80s, they have like a heavy dose of musk and cashmere. There is still something quite youthful about this, and I think it might be, you know, the white florals, the aspect of the vanilla in here, the bourbon style of vanilla. And overall, you know, if you want to stand out, if you want to have something that is a signature evening, nighttime type of wear throughout all seasons, I think you'd really love this. From YSL, we have Manifesto L'elixir. So the next fragrance that I have here is from Chopard, and this one is called Iris Malika. I've already spoken about this fragrance, and I know a lot of you have bought it based on my recommendation and have also loved it. Now, what I will say is it's not groundbreaking, right? And it's a little bit more commercial smelling. And what I mean by that is it's not an overly complex fragrance. But does that mean it's like not a nice fragrance? Definitely not. It's still really beautiful. And considering it is like more mainstream, I would say that this still has like quite a sexy edge to it. So that's why I wanted to pair it with the Manifesto L'elixir fragrance, not only because they're both purple, but also because they do also have this sexy undertone with the fragrances. So this, from the name, as you can probably guess, is a heavy iris fragrance, and I've spoken about this so many times and I don't want to bore you guys, but iris can go in many different facets. This to me is more of a lipsticky, slightly powdery type of iris fragrance. And if you can imagine, like, oh, you know, a woman just bringing out like a fresh, maybe red lipstick, and you know, she's just about to apply it, but then on one side to her she has like a blackcurrant drink. I know that sounds really bizarre, but it does have like a cassis blackcurrant beginning, and that's what I really love about this. So if you like fragrances like La Nuit Trésor, but maybe a less sweeter version, this is definitely up your alley, because it is like a floral ambery type of fragrance. And then towards the base, you do have a big note of amber, you have some woods in here. Again, it might even include cashmere because it does have like a slightly musky quality to it, and again, that might be, you know, giving it that sexiness to it. You also have some other floral aspects in here, but overall, if you can imagine this blackcurrant, cassisi, syrupy type of feel to this fragrance alongside a lipstick vibe and then a slightly musky ambery base, this is really beautiful. It's almost like, I don't know whether I've described this before in the past, La Nuit Trésor and Alien from Mugler have had a baby, but neither of them have iris in either of those fragrances, but it's almost like the iris plays as like the jasmine in Alien, and then the blackcurrant plays in the top like with La Nuit Trésor. So it's a really interesting fragrance, and you can also get it for a reasonably affordable cost. I think for 100 ml you can get it for around about 60 or 70 pounds, which again, for the grand scheme of things, considering it will last you a long time, I think that's a really good deal. So from Chopard, we have Iris Malika. Right, ladies and gents, if any gents are watching, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you enjoyed this video, it really helps with the channel, and I thought this would be something a little bit different. Please guys, let me know if this is something that you enjoy. I'm hoping to do more reaction style videos in the future, and let me know down in the thoughts down below, in the comments down below, what your thoughts are around about what's going on at the minute, whether you're finding that you're having to have maybe like a smaller budget when it comes to fragrances. I'm really intrigued. I do have other videos, by the way, featuring even more inexpensive fragrances, like I said earlier, under £30. So I'll just link it down below for you guys if you're interested, and I hope to see you soon. Bye guys.